Alright, hey guys, Hi-Fri here. I tried making this video like 3 times. I finally got my other camera working, but it still has some issues, so we're back to the potato cam for one more video. And then I'm going to try, I have like a multi-camera setup that I'm going to try, so we're going to make do with this today. But anyway, yeah, so here we go. So this is the Moondrop Droplet. This was very kindly provided to me by Hifigo. Just want to thank you guys so much for sending this. I do apologize. I said I would have the video out a little while ago, and I was going to, but then a bunch of stuff happened, so here we are. But anyway, guys, real quick before I get started, I just want to let you know that I am still doing the giveaway for the Anole VX, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date and aware when I release details about the giveaway. I'm not quite ready yet, but I will in the next few days, probably about 3 or 4 days, I'll have an announcement for the rules for the giveaway. So I just wanted to say real quick that I take everyone's privacy very seriously, and there are free giveaway websites that you can go through and arrange everything, but the problem with that is I don't know if they do any kind of data harvesting or anything like that, and I don't want to deal with any of that. So I do have a domain that I have registered. It is Hi-Fri.com, so that is my domain. I own it, and so I'm thinking of setting up like an email address there, and then that way I can keep track of everybody who applies for the giveaway. And then also for people who try to do like multiple attempts or whatever, I mean, technically you could use different email addresses, but anyway, it makes it a little easier. You can't do like multiple attempts with one account, so you can only use one account. So, and then that way I can use the email to verify if you're a subscriber and whatnot. So anyway, so yeah, so that'll be coming soon. But today we have the Droplet, and oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this IM. This is a very complicated, no, it's not really complicated, but there's a bit to it, so let's get into this. Alright, first off, the price is $49.99, so these are $50. This is kind of a continuation of the line of DSP IMs. So for anybody who isn't already aware, we have the Moondrop Quarks, which were the first iteration. Those were tuned manually using acoustic dampeners and such. Those are $12.99 on Amazon. Then we step up to the Quarks DSP, which were released about a month ago. Those are very similar, except they use a DSP chip inside the analog converter, and that basically gives the IM a different sound signature. And essentially what I think they're doing is they're just using that to achieve the bass curve. Now these are a little bit of a different story. So these are $49.99, so quite a jump from the Quarks and the Quarks DSP. Sadly, I would have liked to see these a little bit more affordable, but they are what they are. So anyway, they are not a bad IM whatsoever, and we'll get into sound impressions shortly. But yeah, I would have liked to see something a little more affordable. And one of the reasons why, and I'll just get into it real quick, is there is a lot of packaging here. So we have the cardboard sleeve, we have the lid, and this lid is crazy, man. So we have this screen printing here. We have the artwork. Obviously they hired an artist, they paid an artist to do the artwork for the box. But yeah, so there's like a kind of like a leatherish kind of texture to the box, and then it also has not only the screen printing but the embossing, so all that is very expensive. And then once we get inside the box, we get to this portion here. So so with the Moondrop Droplet, you get a little keychain necklace type doodad. you have to assemble it yourself. So you could just use this as a like a bottle opener or something, or if you wanted to just keep it like a little slab, like a little kind of like a coin souvenir kind of thing, you could do that. But if you want to make it into a necklace, you'll have to attach the chain via this little clamp here, and you'll have to clamp it down yourself. But anyway, so it comes with this. Obviously this was not cheap to make. Machined aluminum or machined steel. It's polished. It's what do you call it? It's not sharp on the edges, so obviously they ground down the edges and they softened it up a little bit. It's got this engraving here in Chinese, and then it's got the droplet and the little symbol of the droplet being shot out. So anyway, pretty cool. But yeah, just another expense. So just keep in mind, when you're paying the $49.99, this is what you're paying for. And then we have the case here. The case has this cool embossing on it. Now, I'll say first and foremost, this case is pretty useless. And unfortunately, it's not a good case. It doesn't offer any kind of protection whatsoever. It's just, you could crush it super easily. It's just to keep your stuff together. So one of the things that I would have liked to seen is maybe the packaging cut down a little bit, because there's such a small IM, and then perhaps a nicer case, because this case is just bare minimum. For example, if we compare it to the Truthier Ola, at least the Truthier Ola is like a leather, so slightly more durable. This is like cheaper kind of faux leather. This is obviously just a little more expensive, textured and whatnot, and it's got this cool clasp which keeps any kind of dirt and debris out. There's no way you can get dirt inside here while it's closed, and then to open it requires a bit of force. So at least it's got that really cool mechanism. But yeah, that keeps dirt and stuff from getting inside. So at least that offers a little more protection. And this is from a $20 IM, sub $20 IM. So anyway, Moondrop, if you're watching this, I love you guys. I love your IMs. But yeah, just next time, probably go a little bit easier on the packaging, and maybe just add a nicer case instead of the keychain. There we go. So anyway, so we get that, and then as far as our selection of tips go, we have 3 pairs of foams. Now, I already used the smalls. These are very high quality, actually. They're very nice foam tips. You can see they have a nice shiny appearance. Now, this will break down over time, and they'll get more dull with use. But yeah, so far, pretty nice foam tips. So, and you get 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. And then use this to focus again. All right, so on to the next part. Oh yeah, one more thing before we get into the IMs. So you have this little package here. This contains all your documentation. We have some cool artwork. And in my last video, which you guys didn't see, but I was remarking that, so anybody play Atomic Heart? So I watched a playthrough of Atomic Heart the other night, and that video game, if you haven't seen it yet, oh my god, it's crazy. The storyline is awesome, and there's some really freaky stuff in that video game. I mean, it's just some crazy bonkers ideas, but this totally reminded me of it, because you have like the robotic arms, and then you have the fluid here, which is the what do they call it? Anyway, but it's the stuff in Atomic Heart. It's like what controls the robots, and it's like in everyone's bodies and stuff, and it essentially allows you to connect to machinery and computers and whatnot. But and then it looks like you got these like astronauts here riding around, so pretty cool. Whoever did this did a good job, man. You're cool artist. You got some cool artwork there. So, and then we have our manual here, and it just goes over wearing it and all that stuff. Then we have this kind of iridescent card from Moondrop. So another little tchotchke there, and then it's got the image of the spaceship and like the droplet going through it. Some more pretty cool artwork. So whoever did that, you definitely did a good job. But anyway, just to finish this section out, and I know it sounds like, come on, I know it sounds like a complaint, but this is all the packaging that you get with the droplet. Okay, that's not even all of it. So you get this too. So this is all stuff that you can't really do anything with. You know, you can hang on to it if you're attached, you know, to the IM or whatever, but this is just too much. You know, for 50 bucks, could have been easily much less than this, and the IM could have been a little bit more affordable. So anyway, it's nice stuff, don't get me wrong. Moondrop put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into the kind of like motif or whatever of the IMs, but yeah, it's just not, it's not practical. So anyway, we'll stop at that. And just one more thing, sorry. Sorry, this is dusty. This has been sitting on my shelf for a while. So this is the box the corks came in, and yeah, I just wanted to show the difference. So you see how small this is, like super small, but it's exactly what you need to protect everything. So anyway, so next time Moondrop, next time, go back to this. This is all you need. So anyway. Alright, so introduction. So, the Droplet is a DSP powered USB-C only IM. It features one balanced armature and a microphone. It also features toggle controls for volume up, volume down, and play pause. Again, just to reiterate, the price is $49.99. The frequency response is 20 to 20K. And yeah, so that's about it. Alright, how does it sound? Let's get into that. Alright, so firstly I'm going to get into the pros and the cons of the Moondrop Droplet. So the pros, it has excellent tuning. The tuning is very good, very well done. Moondrop did an excellent job with this IM. The second is speed. So being a single balanced armature and a Moondrop armature at that, I'm not sure who they use. I can only imagine that it would be maybe Knowles, but I would assume more along the lines of Belzing. Believe it or not, Belzing is actually capable of making some pretty good balanced armatures. Anyway, but yeah, so the second pro is speed, and essentially they are super fast. They have just superior speed and agility when it comes to replaying technical passages and whatnot, but the decay is something of issue, so we'll get to that anyway. Next pro would be pinpoint imaging and layering. So the imaging and the layering is super awesome. You can easily pick out where something is in the image. It's not very wide, it's not the widest image that I've heard, but there is some depth, and it's mainly height. It's, I don't know how to explain it, but everything exists in like the upper register of the stage, and it kind of moves down slightly, like it moves up and down a little bit, but all the vocals and everything kind of sits up here, like a little bit high. But that's just kind of due, I guess, to their leanish tuning. But as far as the pinpoint imaging and layering goes, when you have an instrument and say it's moving across the stage or it's being panned, some IMs go from like left to center to right, and there's not much like in between. But with these, I mean, you can clearly track it moving almost anywhere throughout the stereo image, and you can track it moving forward and back. And when you listen to certain songs that have a lot of phasing techniques. So they use changes in phase and variating phase to make stuff kind of move around and swirl and whatnot. You know, phasers and flangers and Doppler effects and stuff like that. If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to get into it now. But anyway, any songs that use that kind of stuff, you can hear like exactly where it is. I mean, you can like point it out. So they do a very good job at that. And then again with layering, you can pretty well distinguish where everything is, as far as in front or behind and whatnot. 3D, so they have decent 3D. The image kind of, even though it's not that wide, it kind of folds in on itself, and you can hear stuff behind you. It's not the most exaggerated that I've heard. I actually have some IEMs here that are, these were 13 bucks on Amazon. I'll get to these later, but anyway, there'll be stuff that pops, you know, behind your head randomly, so you'll hear stuff kind of coming from behind you, which is kind of cool. So the 3D is decent, and then lastly would be the build quality. So the build quality is pretty good. They are like polished steel. Just kind of show you. Whoa, come on, you stupid camera. Hello. There we go. So they are polished steel, which is cool. Obviously, mirror finish is kind of gonna get like fingerprinty a little bit. But yeah, so the build quality is actually pretty good. It's kind of a funky design, but yeah, you have the balanced armature. It actually is housed in that blue portion there, and then you have a screen on the front. This is Moondrop's typical screen that they use. And then you have this plastic nozzle with an interesting feature inside. I can't really show it off to you. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, but there's like this flange where the sound emanates out of the BA and then eventually fills this whole space here. We'll get to that later, but anyway, so yeah, the build quality is actually pretty good, and you have this this strain relief here. It's actually a usable strain relief. It functions pretty well. So if you pull on the cable, you know, you can see it relieves the stress. And then silver cable. It's not the highest quality. It's kind of like average, cheap, you know, budget quality like KZ or whatever. The microphone portion is decent. It's not bad. There we go. And you got the two buttons here. The buttons are very tactile. They feel good. You got the button in the center. So all that is really good. There's your microphone in the back right there. Okay. And then yeah, and then we have the USB-C portion here. So that is constructed well. There is no, unfortunately, there's no strain relief here. So you see when I pull at it, it kind of goes at a 90-degree angle. So that's not very good. Obviously, the cable can be prone to breaking there. But other than that, everything else is pretty good. I mean, there's not much to the build. But the quality is pretty good. Now there is no strain relief. These don't have a not strain relief. They don't have a chin cinch. But there is this like divider portion here. Let me see if I can focus in on it. So there's the divider there. It's got the Moondrop or the Droplet branding on there, but there's no chin cinch, unfortunately. So you can't cinch up the IMs. You'll forever have this long amount of cable here, and so you can just take them and make like a really long V. But I guess it's good if you're like sharing with a friend, because you could like hand one to your friend and you can have one, and you guys can be like sitting super far away. But anyway, so yeah, so that's that. Let me try to focus back in. Come on, you can do it. There we go. All right, so just to reiterate the pros: great tuning, good speed, pinpoint imaging and layering, nice stage, decent bass quality. Oh, did I even say that? Yeah, the bass is actually really good on these. It's not great. I've definitely heard better. It's balanced armature bass, so it has a few finicky kind of things to it. We'll get deeper into that too, but bass is decent, and then the good build quality, and the decent 3D. As far as cons go, it is USB-C only. There is no lightning, so you're not able to attach it. Any iPhone users, unless maybe you have an adapter. I don't know if the adapter will work or if there even is an adapter, but yeah, USB-C only, so that's kind of a shame. Non-detachable cable. Here's the big one. So this is one of the big downsides of the Droplet, and that is the noisy DAC and the interference. So there is a noise floor to these. You can hear there is an audible hiss that comes from the DAC. You can primarily hear it when you're not having anything being played through them. As long as you're playing music and stuff, it's not that bad. But if you're the type of person that listens to music at low volumes, you will hear the noise from the DAC, like the hiss, and these are definitely prone to interference from cell phones. So for instance, my cell phone here, whenever I get a call or a text, or if I'm streaming music using my data, you can hear the beep, 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 you know, from the transmitter. It's clearly audible, so you can hear interference or noise through these. Unfortunately, that is the sad but unfortunate truth of having a USB-C dongle DAC kind of onboard DAC feature. So I wish they could have gotten rid of that, but I'm not sure what they could have done to get rid of the interference. But yeah. Second big ding on these, and this is why I said this review is kind of hard. So they are not vented. They are 100% sealed. Moondrop could have made them vented, but they would have had to change the design, and that would have called for a larger earphone. They couldn't have made them this small. I mean, they might have been able to, but it would have been more of a challenge, and quality control might suffer. So unfortunately, they did make them ventless. They do not have a vent, and so you have to use the foam ear tips. That is the whole reason why the foam ear tips are included. So if you're not a fan of foam ear tips, I would probably stay away from this earphone. They do sound good. You can use other ear tips. For example, so I've found that reverse star lines actually work pretty well if you are stuck with an IM that does not have adequate or proper venting, or just is not vented at all. These usually work pretty well, and you don't have that kind of pressure buildup with these. So yeah, you could try reverse star lines. These are small. You have to use them in small. If you use medium or large, they're too big, and it won't work the same. So, and obviously your ear canals, it depends on your ear canal, but yeah, so you have to use foam tips for these, so that's a ding. And then two more, and these are just kind of small ones. These are more nitpicky, but the tonality is below average. Being a balanced armature, the tonality is not great. It's just average, kind of below average. If you're comparing these to a single dynamic driver IM, the tonality is not anywhere close. It's the speed is good, the resolution is okay. The micro details and stuff are there. Actually, it has a lot of micro details, but the resolution is so, you know, so I'd say it's above average to above average. But the tonality is just not there. Part of that has to do with the dongle and group delay. Basically, the harmonic distortion that it brings into the mix. Also, the harmonic distortion of the balanced armatures. So, it's kind of hard to explain, but the tuning of the DAC the DSP basically exaggerates some of the issues with the balanced armature. That's why I said the bass quality is good, but it kind of depends on what frequency you're playing. So anyway, and they're small balanced armatures, so it's harder for them to replay bass anyway. But anyway, I'm getting rambly here. So the tonality is below average, and then lastly, the timbre is artificial. So they do not have a natural kind of timbre to them. Because they're a balanced armature, they do sound artificial. And that is essentially all the pros and the cons. So I'll just say that one more time. So the pros: good tuning, speed, pinpoint imaging and layering, nice stage, decent bass quality, decent 3D, good build quality. Cons: USB-C only, non-detachable cable, noisy DAC and interference sometimes. They're not vented, below average tonality, and artificial timbre. That is it in a nutshell. Alright, so the Moondrop Droplet. I'm just going to give you guys my rating here, my technical rating, and then we're going to get into who this IEM is for and who it is not for. So bass quality, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Bass dive, which is basically like how low it can get, or how close it can get to like infra bass, and the quality down there, like the really low rumbly bass, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Probably could have given a little higher. Mid-range quality is 6 out of 10. Treble quality is 7 out of 10. This is for the price, mind you. Extension is a 5 out of 10. There's a lot of roll-off, so unfortunately the upper treble is just not as airy as I'd like it to be, but it's forgivable because they're a single balanced armature and they're only 50 bucks. Speed is a 9 out of 10. Texture is a 6 out of 10, or essentially timbre, same thing. Macro dynamics, so these are like the variables in how do I say it, in timbre, whatever, in the bass. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Microdynamics are 8 out of 10, because there's a lot of sparkle and shine and a lot of details and stuff that float around. So the microdynamics are pretty good. The tonality is a 4 out of 10. It is the worst out of the bunch. Unfortunately, tonality is what suffers most with the balanced armatures. Imaging, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Layering, 8 out of 10. Stage width, 6 out of 10, because it's a little narrow, but it's not bad. These image very similar to like a speaker. Moondrop is kind of good about that. These are also like a vocal lovers IEM. They have a pretty hot mid-range section. So if you're into vocals and vocal clarity and you like a good hearty mid-range, you will like these. And then the stage depth, 7 out of 10, and stage height, 7 out of 10. And my overall rating based on the price was a 70 out of 100. So I have a couple minutes left before I finish out this review, and I just wanted to say, so who is this for and who is this not for? If you're the type of person who is on their IEM journey and you have not heard a single balanced armature IEM and you're a fan of Moondrop, I would definitely recommend these. They are pretty cool. They offer some pretty interesting stuff. As far as their characteristics, the replay of sound goes, but there are obviously a few things that you need to forgive them for, which is part of the reason why I would have liked to seen these a little cheaper. You know, ditch all the packaging, sell them for 25, 35 bucks, you know, maybe 40 bucks, and just have a more simple presentation. These would have been a little bit higher rated, in my opinion, if that were the case. But seeing as they're 50 bucks, there's just so much competition here. But yeah, so if you're the type of person who hasn't heard a single balanced armature, these are a good IEM to choose. You know, I recommend that anybody has a single balanced armature IEM, a single dynamic driver IEM, and a planar magnetic IEM, so you can get used to the three main driver types and how they sound and how they present sound in a different way, and it'll make it much easier for you to wrap your head around sound and how sound is recreated. So so I would recommend that for somebody. If you're looking for a cheap IM and you got 50 bucks, and you just like vocals and you like a little bit of details, these are good. But if you're looking for like really good tonality and bass quality, then you might want to look other places. If you're a treble head and you want like max extension, then I would probably look at something else as well. Also, you got to keep in mind that these are USB-C only, and they have a non-detachable cable, so that's another thing to take into account. But yeah, but other than that, they are very nice IM. I've enjoyed my time with them. I'm not really attached to them in any way. There are better IMs out there. There are worse IMs out there. Honestly, in my point of my IM journey, I'm more uh, what do you call it? I'm drawn more towards single dynamic driver IMs right now. The balanced armature thing is nice. It's cool. I might check out like an Etymotic sometime. You know, I might check out another IM that has a single balanced armature to see if I like it or not. But yeah, I mean, they're not bad by any means, but it's just not my personal preference. I might find myself in the mood for them, and I might, you know, grab them from time to time, because like I said, they're very speedy, they're very fast as far as the attack goes. It's like super quick. That's why when you start getting into the upper frequencies, like the, you know, 1K and up, you have a lot of tactility, a lot of slam, you know, and a lot of tactility. But yeah, so there's a couple weird things with them, like in the bass, you know. Um, but yeah, so let's talk about bass for a second, and I just wanted to elaborate. So the main review's over. If you guys want more, feel free to stick around. Anybody else can leave. But yeah, so I want to talk about the bass. Now, the bass on the balanced armature is something of a mixed bag, and it all depends on what kind of frequency you play. Um, I've found with these anywhere from 20 to 40 hertz are like the sweet spot for quality of bass, like the macro details and the just the texture of it, and the dynamics like are really good from 20 to 40 hertz. But once you get from like 40 to 60 hertz or somewhere, you know, therein, um, the bass becomes kind of amorphous. It's just like a kind of blobby, like it's smoothed over, and it lacks a little bit of texture to it, and a little bit of like dimensionality. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not the greatest bass. It's not bad, but it lacks a little bit of impact, or it lacks a little bit of weight, I guess I should say. So it's not very weighty, and it's just kind of smoothed over, and it's just not very impactful. But then once you get from like, you know, 80 or 100 and up, then it starts to become more substantial again, and you kind of regain that impact in the bass, and it kind of regains its quality, and its texture. I call it macro details, but it kind of regains its textures. And then, so when talking about the mids, and I'm kind of going over my written review that I did. It's not a thorough review, but it's, you know, it's a little written blurb that I did on them. I wrote about the mid-range that the mid-range is basically, it's effortless and lightweight in its replay. So it's just like anything that it tries to recreate as far as mid-range goes, just seems like it's not natural. By any means, it's not natural sounding, but it's just like it's not even trying. It's just everything is just super fast. It's like immediate, but it's not highly resolving. And that's the thing, is speed and resolution are not the same things. They're different. They're different things. So while the speed is great, and like the tactility is great when it comes to like the mid range, and like I said, the replay is effortless. It's just everything is right there when called upon. And like the texture for the most part is decent in the mid-range. The resolution is just okay. It's average to above average for the $50 price point. And like I said, this is where the tonality issues start to come into play. So the tonality is a bit on the artificial side, and because of the peak in the mid-range, and I'll show you guys here. So because of this peak, things can come across sounding a little nasally. So this is 3 kilohertz right here, this line. So you have a 3 kilohertz peak. I'm not sure what happened with this tuning here, if this was intentional or if this was just an artifact of tuning with the DSP chip versus the actual frequency response to the balanced armature, because you can see they kind of undershot their trajectory for their VDSF curve, and they kept going, you know, until they hit what, like 135 dB, and then all of a sudden, or 130 dB, and then it's like all of a sudden they corrected after 3K, and then it kind of goes back down and follows more closely the VDSF target. So I'm not sure what happened there, but there are instances where you'll get a little bit of kind of a nasally type quality to the sound. But yeah, so there is that. And then let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, they're not, for the most part, they're not really shouty or honky or anything like that. It's just the occasional, and it depends on the track. If you're listening to a well-recorded, well-mastered track, you're not going to have that issue. But if it's not a well-mastered, well-recorded track, then you will have issues with it. For example, if you're the type of person that listens to old school metal, I would not recommend that for these at all. I would not. If you're an old school metalhead, stick with a warmish or mid forward dynamic driver. Do not go for the balanced armature, because these will come across, they'll obliterate your ears if you're into that kind of music. Any other kind of music I would say would be fine. 70s music, I guess it just depends on the track, but the bass creates a good sense of fullness here. So these might sound pretty good for 70s tracks. It just depends, but because 70s tracks tend to have kind of a rolled off sub bass or non-existent sub bass, but then they kind of overcompensate in the mid bass because that's pretty much all they had at the time. And these kind of have a scoop in the mid bass where it's kind of flat, so that might balance out what's going on in those old school recordings. The only thing is, in this like 70s recordings, the mids tended to be a little more hot, and these IAMs have a hot mid-range as it is. So yeah, it just depends on the track. But if you listen to modern recordings on these, you'll be fine. Modern recordings sound pretty amazing, especially if they're well recorded and well mastered. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, just tonality is the weak point. But yeah, all in all, they're a good IM. But yeah, I would just keep in mind that they don't have everything, and in this market, $50. I mean, there's a lot of competition, especially from the single dynamics. There's a lot out there. If I were to recommend a direct competitor, I mean, it's probably not even a competitor because I'm sure it's made by the same people. But like a direct competitor, I would say would be like the or analogous, like a dynamic driver that would be analogous to these would be the Truthier Ola, perhaps. or I'm sure the Quark's DSP are very similar to these, just the dynamic driver form. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed my review here. I'm sorry I ran out of steam pretty quick, but yeah, so this is everything that you get with the Droplet. And next video I'll do a teardown, and like I said, I got better cameras. I'm going to try to do it like a multi-camera setup, and I'll have something a little nicer for you guys. But again, lastly, before I go, I just wanted to say thank you again to Hifigo. You guys are super awesome for sending this my way. I will do a teardown on these, and we'll take a close look at the balanced armatures inside them. I want to show them off, and I figured you guys would be kind of curious to see that. Also, I have a few tests that I would like to do with the Droplet now that I have the video finally out. I want to remove the USB-C dongle, and I want to see how they sound, or their frequency response curve, without the dongle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dongle and I'm going to use that to power like a normal IM, you know, not necessarily these, but just any, you know, average Joe Schmo IM. I have a whole bunch here. These are all going to be torn down, but anyway, I want to take the DAC and I want to use that to power a normal IM, and I want to see how it changes the frequency response of the IM itself. And then we'll take apart the balanced armatures and get inside. So anyway, guys, take care. I hope you're all safe. Stay safe. Have a good week out there, and I will catch you later. Peace.